collection. Happy EEKtober, everybody. We are doing 31 days of scary movies, and today is day 16. I am your host, Melissa Forziat. I'm a keynote speaker, and when I speak, my topic is Take the Doughnut, which is another way to say Carpe Diem. It comes from this weird thing that happened to me in college where I left an actual donut on a table, and that became an object lesson for me and what it looks like to leave opportunities behind. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut. Now, from time to time, I'll issue myself a Take the Doughnut challenge. I'll make it official. There's something I want to go after. It'll be a way to hold myself accountable. And this time I'm opening it up to anybody who wants to join. So here we are. We're doing 31 days of scary movies. And again, today is day 16, and we're going to talk about The Collector. This one is from 2009. It's a home invasion film. It's a torture film. And it's directed by Marcus Dunstan, written by Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan. It stars mainly two characters. We've got Josh Stewart as Arkin and Juan Fernandez as the Collector. And really, mostly one of them is recognizable in this film. In this series, if you liked this one, there's also The Collection, which is a 2012 sequel. So some general notes on this film. I would put this one into when I think about the categories that I put this one into, so I put it into torture. And when I think about this film and where it sits in like how gruesome the torture is, I would put this on just slightly under Hostel and Saw. I don't know if everybody would, but I would. And I also think part of the reason for that is sometimes I think with torture films, it's just like there's no servicing the plot at all with it. And I think in this case, there's something very particular that's happening in the story that often makes like Arkin go into the traps himself to try to get himself out of the house. So it's torture, but I don't know that I put it as hardcore as a couple of those really hardcore films, but it's getting up there. I would say the other subgenre category that I put this one into is home invasion, and it's as home invasion films kind of neat, actually. It's not your standard home invasion plot, which I would say would be something more like what we saw with The Strangers. What we're seeing here with The Collector is a guy goes to invade a home to rob it and finds that the home is being invaded by somebody much worse. And so now we've got a main character who's actually smart, savvy, knows some tricks of the trade, and should, in theory, be better able to evade this guy. They've both been casing the home. So it's like they know the ins and outs of it, but don't know what the other one had planned. And really, Arkin's plans don't matter much for the Collector. He's just making life harder for the Collector. So I think it's a really interesting conceit, and it's fun to see how this one plays out. It's different than a lot of home invasion films. Another thing I'd like to point out as a general note is the sound design and music for this is really interesting. Sometimes they've got some really interesting, like fun, recognizable songs. Sometimes it's cacophony. It's just like groaning and screaming sound designs. They play a lot with slow motion and then add in that sound design. It's on the one hand, it's like a really disturbing soundtrack, but on the other hand, it actually has like a cool vibe to it. Sometimes I almost forget that I'm hearing those sounds. I'm not so disturbed by the sounds that it disrupts me in the movie. Like, for example, like a Funny Games use of sound design did on purpose. This one actually sometimes I find that the sound design is sort of adding into the experience, and the music choices are adding into the experience and not sticking out. So it almost weirdly blends in. And then when I find myself listening to what's being played in my ears, I'm like, wow, that's a lot. So it's interesting how they made that happen. I also think one more interesting thing about this film is how disorienting the house is. Because of the way they show it, we don't always have the best understanding of what the layout of the house is. Now, if I were to sit down and start drawing this out and plotting this out, I'm sure it would make a lot more sense. But we have like duplicates of a lot of things. We have more than one door. We have more than one set of stairs. So there's a bunch of different bedrooms. So when you're seeing Arkin or the collector, when you're just getting a close-up of them going into a room, you don't always know where they are or where the other person is. And that's sort of the point. It's meant to make it feel confusing and claustrophobic, but it's also meant to show you how deeply everybody who's in this house knows this house. We don't. So it's we're at a disadvantage in this movie, which is kind of fun. We have often less information than most of the people in the film. And even though we can see where more than one person is, since we're not seeing them at the same time, what good does it do us? So those are some basics on this film. If we start getting into the plot of it as we go through, first we're going to start with some clear hints about who done it. We've got a lamp with some bugs in it in front of the house. Okay. When we see the exterminator, probably going to be that guy. We're going to pan right. We're going to see a person it's almost like a person is walking the property. We're going to see that work is being done on this house. It's nighttime, so nobody's working on it right now, but this is a house that has a lot of work happening on it. A car pulls up and a man and woman come home from a night out. He's going to be up in a bit. She goes upstairs. He's going to check the mail. He's noticing that the lights don't work. This is weird. They were actually removed. So it looks like the collector, this is a prior house that he went to, and he's getting it rigged up, and these people came home. The woman calls to him upstairs. He runs up, and they're going to find a box in the bedroom. Maybe the crew left it. They're not really sure. There's a card on it that says for the collection, and there's somebody who's banging from the inside. They open the trunk and somebody grabs the man. Probably the collector, I'm thinking. And so that's the house prior to this one. And now we're going to get credits. We're going to get this like pounding techno rave music. We're going to get credits with shots of bugs and specimens and shots of the outside of the house and plans of the house, a silhouetted figure, all very ominous, all just sort of like flashes of it to get into your brain. So now we're going to catch the morning light. We're looking through the trees. We're going to hear a Patient 113 song, Awake to You, that we're going to hear again a little bit later. It was a recognizable song to me, but I didn't know what it was until I looked it up. We see a field that will become important. We're going to go to this new house, and we're going to see workers arriving. There's a spider on a tree. So we're just getting these signals that maybe we should check out what's happening with the exterminator. A man steps out of a truck, closes the door. Hey, that's the exterminator. There are a bunch of workers at the house. It's a beautiful, huge home. Arkin, our hero, sort of, he is inside the house. He's finishing work on a door. He does doors and windows. So he's working on a door right now. The man of the house, the husband, he is going to come to Arkin. He's going to say, okay, once you're done with this door, can you get the last of the window bars up? I know we're in the middle of nowhere. We need to know that for a horror movie to be scary. But my wife's really committed to the Victorian decor. So if you can get those bars up, that would be great. There's a home theater setup that the dad's working on here. He's watching a home video as it's going up, the projector is running. Arkin's going to look around. We're going to see some family photos just to figure out how many people, who is in this family. The dad, we see a business card. He's a broker at a jewelry store, so they're wealthy. They make some good money. The wife is putting in Botox as he watches, and we're going to find out that the mirror that she's looking into is very important. The daughter, Hannah, invites him to a tea party in her room. He is really good with her. As much as he's going to do a bad thing in this film, and he's probably got more than one shady thing going on in his life, we see how he is with Hannah. And it endears him to us enough for us to root for him in this film. I think it does for me anyway. He is really patient with her. We're going to find out why in just a minute here, but he says, okay, question for you. If you were to get a special present, what would you want it to be? She says, oh, a Baskin bear for sure. He's like, yeah, where would you get such a thing? She says, the toy store man. Come on. So she knows him. Like the family has seen these workers enough where they know him. She goes to drink some tea and there's a spider on the tea, kind of an exotic looking spider. And he tries to stop her. The spider's going to get away. We're going to see it crawl away. The dad interrupts them. He's like, what's this guy doing in my daughter's room? So he's going to interrupt this. Arkin's like, hey, the door is done. Arkin's going to leave the room. He's going to finish putting up the bars on the windows. We see wasps get on him. There's a huge wasp's nest on the side of the house that he's working on. He's smoking, and so he just starts blowing smoke onto the wasps. It's very creative. We see he's inventive, and that gets the wasps to go away. As he's leaving, he's going to tell the exterminator about the wasp's nest. So he has a conversation. Well, not a conversation. He exchanges a word with the guy that he's going to be fighting for the rest of the film. A guy whose face we can't see, whose face is covered because of the work that he does or because he never wants to be identified. And the thing to know is that because of the work that they've been doing, these two have keen familiarity with the ins and outs of this home. They have gotten to know it very well in different ways, but they both are very, very aware of it. And they've been working on the house for some amount of time. So, okay, Arkin is smoking in his truck, and the other daughter, Jill, she's going to come up. She's going to ask for a smoke. She makes fun of his name. He's like, yeah, well, what's your name all about? She says, well, it was my grandma's name. She was the first female attorney general in the state. I mean, these are the kinds of reasons why this family has such a big home. She says, okay, so you're about to hear a fight. Enjoy. She climbs into the house and gets in trouble. Her mom's going to make her go on a family vacation that, quite frankly, none of them are about to go on. So the dad, before they're about to go on this vacation, he's going to pay Arkin just a little extra, for the little one. He says, spend time with them while they're young, because, once they hit 13, it's a bit of a mess. And this is them before they go away. So Arkin is going to go to a bowling alley. He's going to see his daughter Cindy, and he listened to the advice of Hannah. He took her seriously, and he's got his daughter Cindy a Baskin bear as a gift. She takes one look at it, and she doesn't want to get excited because the first question she asks is, do I get to keep it? I mean, this is her life, right? I mean, I guess, her dad wants to do nice things for her, but she doesn't always get to keep the nice things. Maybe it's true for her mom as well. So, Cindy's living a different life than Hannah is, that's for sure. Lisa looks at the bear. She's like, yeah, where's the money though? Especially if he is giving his daughter a gift. Like, why don't I have the money? What money? So Lisa and Arkin are going to go to a kitchen to fight. He's late with the money and he only has some of it. And she has to have it all today for the loan sharks. So she's going to have to disappear now to get away from this situation. Arkin's like, that's not going to work. They're going to chase you. He says, I'll get you the money tonight by midnight. That's what I'll do. She says, all right. So Arkin has to seal a business arrangement for that to make sense. He's going to get on the phone to organize a heist tonight. Arkin goes to a strip club to find Roy. We're going to hear Depeche Mode playing. I Feel You. Great song choice. Arkin gets it all organized. He's negotiating. He wants 50% of the take to burgle the family's home. Roy is like, you're going to get 40. At first, Roy doesn't want this at all. He's like, this is not the deal. I pick you just like pick the locks. I pick the jobs. This is how mistakes happen. Arkin is desperate. So he's going to push this matter and he's going to get Roy to agree to give him 40%, take it or leave it, and they're on for tonight. So, okay, so it's nighttime. Arkin is going to take the back road to this job, to this house that he's been working. And he parks in the field that we saw earlier in an image. He puts on a mask and he runs to the house in the fog. He sees a dog on a chain outside. That's a new thing. Should lead to some pause, given that the family should be gone right now. But there's a dog on a chain outside. Now, I have to say, if I have one complaint about this film, and I don't know, you might have a number of complaints about this film. I like the energy of this film. I think it's a really cool, interesting film. If I have one complaint about it, it's that I don't know if I fully understand the timeline. Is the collector doing all of this in one night? Granted, they have both cased this home at length. The collector has, this is not his first rodeo, okay? He's done this before. He has he's probably been stocking up on all the things he needs. He probably has a good sense of what order to start doing things in, so he buys himself time. So, but does he do all, maybe he pre-rigged some of the booby traps. So all of that could be the case. I imagine this all takes a bit of time. So, does he actually do this not only all in one night, but while Arkin is getting there? So clearly if the dog is on the chain outside, the collector's already been around the house, but not all the things are set up yet when Arkin walks in, because he doesn't notice any booby traps on the way in. So I don't know how much suspension of disbelief there needs to be here, but we are going to get Arkin going into the house. He picks the lock on the door. He enters. He sees his reflection in a mirror. We get a creak on the front stairs because we need to, even though he's been through this house before, we need to know that there's a creak on the front stairs. He goes up. He hears a creak in Hannah's room. It's a little weird. He sees in Hannah's, he looks in Hannah's room. He sees there's fish and there's dolls and there's teacups. He doesn't see anybody. Hannah's probably in here hiding right now. Arkin finds a mirror, the mirror that his wife was looking in, that the husband's wife was looking in earlier, the owner's wife. That's where she was putting in the Botox. That's where the safe is. So he lifts up the mirror. He has a device. He's going to start to pick the lock to break the safe. But he hears a creak in the house. Somebody else is now putting a key in a lock, and he hears it. That person comes in. We see that person's boots. That person is coming up the stairs. There's a creak on the stairs. Arkin's going to close up the mirror real quick. The collector walks in. Arkin walks to the next room. We're going to see an overhead shot. A couple times we'll see this. We're going to see an overhead shot cut through the ceiling to a couple, so we can see a couple different rooms at once. So in this case, we can see that as Arkin goes around one hallway, like one doorway, the collector's on the other side. So he just misses the collector. Arkin goes downstairs. He misses the collector. He goes toward the back door. The collector is walking through the house, but now the back door is locked. But the thing is, there are a lot of locks on it, like so many locks that weren't there before. Possible that Arkin didn't look at the back of that door when he came in. He just picked the lock, went in, shut the door real quiet, went into the house. Maybe all those locks were there but open, and when the collector came back in, he just locked them all up. He probably wasn't doing an install right then, because that I would not believe. So we're going to get Arkin. The collector comes downstairs. There's a creak. We can hear it. The collector has a mask on, so we can't see who it is. Goes into the basement, and we hear somebody screaming downstairs. Arkin is like, ooh, okay, I've got till midnight. I want to get this, need to get this money to Lisa for my kid. All right, he's going to go back to the mirror, to the safe. Now, if he left right now, he'd probably be fine. But he does not. He hears a man screaming through the vent. Arkin looks. He's going to close the mirror. He's going to hide in a closet. And he's going to see the husband, the man who hired him, get thrown into a room, into the room that he is in. And he sees Arkin. And he kind of thinks Arkin is in on this. And Arkin is not. He's trying to shh him. The dad is going to grab something, and I can't make out what he's trying to grab. And he sets off a booby trap that pulls him out of the room and strings him up through the ceiling. And then he's dropped to the floor 2 stories down. The collector grabs him and slides him out. Arkin gets out of the closet and he's like, oh my God, I don't know. I can't be in this house anymore. He starts looking in the room that he's in, and the windows are boarded up. So a lot of effort has been gone to here. Arkin can tell this is not your run-of-the-mill burglar. Arkin picks up the phone. He wants to make a call. There's a needle in it, and we're going slow-mo. So you think he's going to notice this, but he does not. He stabs his own eardrum. And then he's like, okay, I'm just going to reach through the boards on the window, and there are razor blades that are sticking through, and they cut his arms when he's trying to pull his arms back. So he yanks his arms through and scratches them up, scrapes them up. We're going to get shots of the quiet main floor, but all is not quiet in this house, far from it. Arkin's now going to walk to the hallway. He's going to start to see some of the rigging that's been done here. So many very creative booby traps. We're going to see a rig with fishing line. He avoids it. He hears some chimes from where the collector is walking. We see an overhead layout of the house. And then Arkin is going to see the collector at the stairs. Arkin goes into a room, and the collector's stalking, and I'm not 100% sure that the collector knows that Arkin's in the house, but you figure maybe, just maybe. The collector's got some other things to do right now, so even if there is somebody else in the house, maybe that's not the top priority. Arkin goes down the stairs, and he's going to see another very impressive chandelier rig that has a bunch of knives coming down. He can't, there's sort of like a lightning effect. He can't open a window. And then Arkin sees another rig. There's a, scissors that somebody might use as a weapon to kill the collector, except it's rigged up to something else horrible. Arkin is going to see a fishing line rig now in the back of the hallway, and it's like razor type line that's strung up in all directions, like a movie where people are trying to steal jewels and go underneath, razors that you can, not razors that you can see, lasers that you can see, and they have to like crawl under them and stuff. But this is like that in the air, and they're razor sharp, and they cut his face a little bit. He backs off. He's going to see what's happened in the dining room. Tons of bear traps all over the place. He's going to see the kitchen. There is a fishing line rigged to basically like a butcher knife that'll swing down and kill you. And then he sees the back door stairs, that the stairs on the back side of the house. Yep, you could go up them, except there are a ton of nails sticking out of every single board. The collector comes and goes usually down the front stairs. And so Arkin is going to go to the closet, to the basement to hide. It looks like he's going into a closet. Turns out it's a basement. It's dark in there. He's got a flashlight. He is going to find the dad down there now, tied up. And he's going to have another conversation with him. Maybe this time the guy will take him a little more seriously, even though he was clearly there to burgle him. He says, like, this wasn't my doing. Like, this is not my doing. Whatever else was happening was, but this not. The dad is not sure where his tools are because the guy took them all to do whatever has been happening in the house here. He says his wife is in the next room. Hannah's probably hiding. Jill, she left before this guy got here. The dad has a gun in a safe in the bedroom behind the mirror. He neglects to mention no bullets. That would have been handy. He gives Arkin the combo for the safe, and Arkin's like, all right, stay quiet. And that's some amount of trust there, because really, Arkin could have just stolen the jewel and found a way out of the house, but he's better than that. Arkin's gonna go to the next room. He's gonna find this guy's wife in the tub. She's blindfolded and gagged. He ungags her. He can't take the blindfold off because it's fixed to her face. He hasn't seen Hannah. She's like, she's here. She's hiding. Find her. Arkin's like, agreed. Would love to do that, but I can't get upstairs unless you create a distraction. So scream, and then stop screaming when the collector comes down. The wife's like, Really? Is this the plan? So he says, well, I have to find Hannah. So she enacts the plan. She starts screaming. The collector comes down. He's going to escape. He's going to go back up the stairs. And the collector goes to the wife and he tries to scare her. He goes to choke her. He goes to pretend like he's cutting out her tongue. And then he just gags her again. He's like, that's a lesson of what could happen to you. Arkin is going to look for Hannah in a room. He goes then to the safe to get the gun and the jewel, because this is a lot. Might as well get the jewel. The collector is going to torture the dad. Arkin can't find the bullets in the bedroom. He does, however, hear somebody banging in the closet, and he goes in there and he finds the box that we saw earlier in the film. He opens it and a man pops out, the man from the first house that we saw. His name is Larry Horn, and Arkin figures maybe this guy's got some info. He says, what does the collector want? And the guy says, just to collect people, that's it. He only kills the people he doesn't want. He takes the rest. Larry's the bait for this family. He says, if you're not chosen, you won't leave this house alive. And he only takes one. Good luck. Arkin is going to put Larry back in the box. Arkin's going to go to the room that has the open window. And in this room, that open window is a trap of its own. There is acid, like glue acid all over I don't even know what this is. It gets you stuck and it burns you. So there's a cat that found its way in this acid and is slowly dying here. The collector hears the noise as Arkin is trying to sort out how to get through the acid. He's leaving a trail of his shoes. He dumps some books on the floor to create a pathway for himself. All very smart, but he is making noise. He yanks the cat up off of the floor. He just rips all the hair off the bottom of this cat and probably some skin, and it's a little bit bloody now. And he tosses it towards the window and it tries to escape, but the window is trapped. It's like a guillotine, and it is going to be really bad for this cat when it tries to go out. The collector has heard all this, so he's going to go upstairs. Arkin leaves, but has left a clear trail of his stuff behind, and books and whatnot, and pieces of cat. Arkin is going to hide. He's on top of the bed under a heap of pillows. So it looks like there's just a mound of throw pillows, but it's actually Arkin. And the collector doesn't see Arkin, but also doesn't want to step further into this room because he knows what's in this room. So the collector is going to go over to the box that Larry is in. Arkin is going to go past across the pathway again. He's going to grab some paper clips or some implements that he can use to work on the rest of the family and help get them free. Arkin is going to go back to the basement. He sees that the husband is now dead, disemboweled and upside down. Horrific death. He finds the wife alive. He takes off the gag. He takes off the blindfold. He can't find Hannah. He's freeing her. The husband's fine. Don't you worry about it. We're going to get you out of here. But when we do, maybe don't look at anything in the room except me. The wife was like, I was prepared for a robbery. Not this. I wasn't ready for this. But he says, look, we've got to get Hannah. He says, we'll leave. You'll watch my back the whole time. And he's going to take her past the husband. But unfortunately, she looks, because she's going to. She sees the husband. She freaks out. She runs up the stairs, making a ton of noise. And the collector's going to stab her a bunch of times and make her fall back down the stairs. She's not quite dead yet, but it's not looking good for her. Arkin hides under the desk, and the collector comes down. He's got a creepy black mask and black gloves. He is going to gather a spider from the ceiling because he loves those creatures, and he lets it out through a basement window. Run, be safe, my child. But he's going to kill everybody, every human he can find. He drags the wife out to the next room to take care of her in some way. And then Arkin's going to go back upstairs while that distraction is happening. The collector is going to put a recorder on. He's recording the wife as she screams. He puts her in a tub. He's going to sew up her mouth as she's squealing. Arkin tries to get out through a window and he's hearing the wife scream. He's like, why didn't you listen to me? I told you, like, oh, he's so frustrated. He's taking the boards off a window. A horn honks outside. Jill has pulled up to the house with her boyfriend and they are making out and they're leaning against the horn. Arkin is trying to warn Jill. He sort of breaks the window. He's trying to speak to Jill. Jill and the boyfriend, though, they come inside. They can't get in through the front door. So the collector's watching them and she's like, did my mom change the locks maybe? We see the chandelier knives trap near the front door. So she's like, well, maybe we could try going around back. The collector goes to the back and he's going to unlock all the locks, like all the extra locks he put in. Arkin is going to go to the man in the box. He's like, stop banging. This helps nobody. Jill goes to the back door. She can come in now. She and her boyfriend are making out. They're hooking up. They walk past the collector. She basically just accidentally evades most of the traps. She starts to walk backwards up the stairs. Her boyfriend pulls her back seductively. Good thing she would have pierced her feet with those nails. And then he puts her on the counter. He's putting pressure on the fishing line for another trap, but doesn't set it off. He's bending her back. He's taking off her clothes. The collector is watching all of this in fascination. She's loving it. Arkin watches the collector watching them, and he runs to the dining room. And I think the collector notices that there's movement. So the collector's fully aware there's somebody else in this house. Arkin is avoiding the bear traps in the dining room, but Jill sees the collector as she's hooking up with her boyfriend, and she stands and the collector stands with a knife. The boyfriend goes to fight him and he goes to like block him with his hand, and the collector just puts a knife right through it. And then the boyfriend's gonna accidentally set off another trap and a butcher knife comes down and chops off his fingers. And then he stumbles backward into the dining room where he sets off a third of the bear traps with different parts of his body. It's brutal. Arkin sees all of this. The collector is going to grab Jill. He's going to throw her. At this point, a lot of stuff happening. And we're really like, again, sound design. There's slow motion happening as an effect. There's like atonal and then sometimes screaming and just noisy sound in the sound design. But as distracting as that is, we're going to see somebody calls 911, possibly Arkin. He leaves the dining room. The collector is going to cut the fishing line of a bunch of things, and then Arkin's going to take a board off the upstairs window because this all is a distraction. He's trying to make it so it'll be easier to get out later. He hears Jill being strung up on the front stairs, and the collector gets right in her face. An alarm clock goes off upstairs in a room that's not the one that has the window boards being taken off. So the collector is going to go check out what's happening there. Arkin's going to evade him. He's going to undo Jill, but she will not be quiet. She doesn't get the exercise here. She's making too much noise. She's freaking out. And as much as he's trying to save her, she walks herself into the scissors trap. She probably thinks she needs to protect herself against Arkin, but she doesn't. And so she gets the scissors trap to have a weapon, and it ends up being rigged to something that's going to lift her up and throw her into the wall where the projector was playing earlier that has a bunch of spikes on it. So she's thrown into a wall of spikes and a home movie plays on her back. Oh my goodness, what a way to die. Okay, so Arkin runs upstairs. We hear the sound of Jill groaning or just music groaning. Hard to tell the difference here. Arkin goes to the man in the box. He's going to get the man in the box. He's all chained up. I don't know why Arkin keeps going to the man in the box. There's nothing he can do for this man. Arkin's going to leave that room. He breaks the window and jumps to the ground. He has escaped. He has run out of the home. This is the second time in this film that he could get away. He looks back after he runs away a bit and he sees Hannah. She is at a window upstairs trying to wave to him. She might be trying to call to him. And the collector's on the first floor, hears it, and goes upstairs to get Hannah. So now You know that Arkin can't leave this little girl behind. He likes this little girl. This little girl reminds him of his little girl. And so Arkin's going to go back into this house to get Hannah. We're going to get more of the slow motion, the groaning sounds. The collector's going for Hannah. Arkin's going for Hannah. He's retracing his steps into the house. We get the man in the box telling Hannah to run. The collector boxes the guy back up again because we don't need this guy. Okay, get back in the box. Hannah screams. The collector has her leg. The collector keeps kind of nearly missing her. She falls in slow motion and he's going to get her this time. But Arkin knocks out the collector and brings Hannah to her bedroom. He's like, where were you? This would have been so helpful if you would have come out earlier. The collector is banging on her door. He says, okay, here's a plan. You're going to stay off the floor, okay? They rig up her room. He's got the fish tank to dump it down. She's got a TV turned on, and they're going to electrocute the collector when he comes in. The collector opens the door, but instead of the collector comes in, he throws the man in the box onto the floor to get electrocuted. Devastating. And then once the man's not being electrocuted anymore, he steps on the man and the box, who's no longer in the box and no longer alive. And the collector threw him in, and he's now going to use him as a stepping stool to throw knives to Arkin. He's using them as he's throwing knives and trying to stab Arkin. Arkin is evading them. He keeps missing. We're going to leave this room. We're going to go to the bathroom where the collector, we haven't seen this room yet. The collector has rigged up all kinds of fishing hooks from the ceiling, and a bunch of them get stuck in Arkin's face. So he's trying to pull them out. The collector is going to bash the man in the box's face into the doorknob until blood pours through the doorknob. Quite the effect. Spooky, but not efficient. There is a laundry chute in the bathroom. So Arkin's going to dump Hannah down the laundry chute to get her to the basement. He's going to try to follow, but first Arkin is going to be grabbed by the collector and they fight. Arkin takes off the collector's mask and sees who it is, the exterminator. The collector is going to knock him out, and we're going to get shots of all the victims in the house. Doesn't bode well for Arkin. Hannah is hiding under the desk in the basement because that's where the laundry chute let her out. And the collector drags Arkin and hangs him from hooks in the basement. I mean, just hanging him by his back and his skin from hooks. He then cuts Arkin's forehead to wake him up. And he starts getting his tools and he's going to torture Arkin. Arkin subtly tells Hannah to go while making it sound like he's saying to the collector to go. And the collector knocks out a tooth from Arkin. And the collector is going to start going towards Hannah because he thinks he's hearing something. Arkin thinks, okay, he is going to do whatever he can to protect this little girl. So he starts shouting to the collector. He starts insulting the collector, and then he uses a homophobic slur. And that makes the collector stop. So Arkin's like, okay, I'm going to do more of that. And so he starts using that slur more and making it more filthy and cursing him more, but always using the slur that got this guy's attention. And the collector is now pretty pissed off, and he's going to cover Arkin in leeches. Arkin is screaming, and then a cop car comes. The collector stops. Got to attend to this guy because this guy's got a radio and could get outside help. So the cop is looking in the house. He sees a body. He's going to run around the house to see how to get in. And he sees the collector, but the collector is trapping this man. So the guy's like, raise your arms, drop your weapon. He's got a bloody knife. So he's trying to call the cops, the other cops to help him for backup. But the collector has lured him close enough to where the attack dog can get him. So the attack dog does get him. Arkin, meanwhile, is breaking free of all those hooks, very painfully so, but he does it. The cop is killed. Arkin is going to see in the next room that the wife has her mouth stitched up. The house seems to be rigged to blow. He's going to get Hannah. The collector is going to grab a gun from the cop car, like a rifle. and he's going to see Arkin inside the house. So Hannah and Arkin are running. The collector brings in his dog. Might as well. He's trained the dog. The dog's not going to hurt him, but it's going to hurt Hannah and Arkin, so you might as well. Arkin goes to climb the chute. He's rigged it up so that he's got a sheet tied to Hannah. He's going to pull her up once he gets up. He goes up the chute back to the upper floor. He pulls up Hannah. The dog just misses her. And then Arkin's going to rig up a way to kill the dog. He's got a trash can and he's going to light a fire in the trash. He lets the dog into the room and shoves his mouth, his whole face into the trash can. And he lights this dog on fire and kills him right away. And then he throws the trash and the dog at the collector, and the collector shoots it with his gun. They fight. We're going to need some hand-to-hand combat now. Arkin's going to grab the collector's keys. This might help on all those locks on the back door. He's going to get Hannah, but they can't unlock the door in time. The collector is shooting at things, shooting at doors, shooting upstairs. We're getting really just screaming atonal music. The collector shoots at Arkin and Hannah, but actually he's shooting at a mirror reflection because they've strategically placed themselves so their reflection will be shot at. The collector is actually standing. They have lured him to stand exactly where the chandelier knives booby trap is. They're going to release it, and it comes down on him and probably stabs him. We're going to get that screaming music. Hannah and Arkin get out of the house as the cops are coming because somebody had called for the cops. I think that must have been Arkin. The collector is watching all of this. Arkin is going to hide Hannah in that field. He runs out onto the road and gets hit by a car that's in the cavalcade of cops that comes in. Arkin reaches out to Hannah as he's like painfully lying in the road, and he sees the collector grab her. But that's just a vision. It's actually a policeman that's coming to get her. They're being saved. So Arkin is put into the ambulance. The house behind them explodes. It was rigged to blow. We got to get rid of the evidence. So the cop is asking him, okay, so it was the exterminator. You've seen the exterminator and you know who it was. You saw the face. He worked there during the day. Arkin's like, yes, yes, and yes. Another cop comes and says, okay, it looks like it was master trap extermination. They've got the address. Now they have to get Arkin to the hospital. So the ambulance is going to drive away. Arkin still has the jewel in his pocket. He's like, what time is it? The EMT says, just before midnight. He's like, I'm just in time. Call my wife. The ambulance is hit by a car though. And it rolls over. It's T-boned and it rolls over a bunch of times. And the collector comes in and grabs Arkin. He did not die when the booby trap hit him. He's going to bring Arkin to his truck, and he's going to put Arkin in a box just like the Larry was in for most of this film. And the collector drives away. And that, my friends, means there's going to be a collector too. There's going to be the collection in this series. I mean, look, I think it's a really cool film. I think it's such an interesting conceit. I think, you're wired to think that the burglar, the robber, whoever is the bad guy, and Arkin's making bad choices. He makes tons of bad choices in this film, some of them for good reasons and some of them for all of them, I guess, for good reasons. But when compared up against the collector, Arkin looks like a saint. And so, you find yourself rooting for a guy who's doing things that are otherwise not good. I mean, when the family sees him inside the house, they're like, you're doing a bad thing. But it's not as bad a thing as what this guy is doing. So, okay, do what you need to do. And they've give us some reasons to trust him. Again, I think where this movie is weakest for me is in me trying to understand the timeline of how the collector is doing all this so fast. Even if you have it all planned, even if you pre-rigged some of the booby traps, you could say that, look, this family was going to be gone on vacation for a couple of weeks. You could say this is a couple days in and he's had a little extra time. but I feel like it's the same day that Arkin left the house. He went to see his wife and then he goes the next night. So I feel like he had 24 hours to rig all of this. Also, even if he didn't, a lot of this stuff is not in the house when Arkin first goes in to steal the jewel. So he did have to work very quickly. Now he's got an order of operations. He's done this before and he probably did have things pre-rigged, but I'm just saying that's the place where this gets really sticky for me. But I love the idea that there are two home invaders competing against each other. One is far more ruthless and much more a person to be afraid of. I like the choices of the sound design. I don't know if the use of slow motion works for everybody, but for me, I find that only because I was sort of diving into this and taking notes on it, did I really pay attention to that. I think a lot of the choice of the style of this, the slow mo, the sound design, the music choices, I think it works correctly in the film where I feel it but don't notice it um, until there are a couple moments where I drop into it. So I think it works for me in that way. I like that we've never actually identified the face of the collector, even though we know who it is, what employee it is, and what the company name is. But let's face it, he's probably got a plan around that also. He seems to be pretty far planned ahead for all of this stuff. And then, of course, they leave you with a lot of questions like, what about all these people he's collecting? Like, where are they? Because it's not just one guy in a box that he has, you know? Like, this guy in a box wouldn't have all that information if it was just him. So, what are we really looking at here? I'm compelled by our main character, and I am curious to see more. And I've seen the collection. It's a different feeling of a film, not quite the home invasion feeling as much, but it's in the vein of this film. So check it out if you liked this one. And that is what I thought about The Collector. Question is, what did you think about The Collector? Let me know in the comments of this video what you thought about it. And even more than that, my scary meter is busted. I've watched so many horror movies that they basically don't scare me anymore. I desensitized myself to them. So I'd love to know how you would rate this film on your scary meter. Rate this from 1 to 10 in terms of how scary you think it is. 1 being not scary, 10 being so scary, and anywhere in between. And let's just see where we land as a whole with that. Now, next time, it's going to be day 17, and we're going to watch Alice, Sweet Alice. It is a 1979 slasher film. I'm going to put this on the not too scary list, though, because I think it doesn't feel overly realistic. It's a little older school. It's really a good film if you want to sort of have a bit of education about earlier horror movies that might have inspired other films. It has some really good ideas in it and some really smart stuff. It's a fun movie, and I hope you enjoy that one. And so that's what's coming up next for us. And I hope you'll join me for that. And, in the meantime, happy EEKtober, everybody. Get spooky, get donuts. Bye.